morning. My name is Natalie Fanny Gonzalez. Welcome to our Economic Development Committee work session. We're going to start today. We have 3 exciting items. I think they're exciting for me. The first one is White Oak Science Gateway Redevelopment Project, a project that we have been working on for, can I say decades now? Many years. So let's start with staff, council staff. Mr. Ali, would you like to kick us off? And then we're going to ask the executive team to follow up.
Sounds good. Good morning. It's a brief packet. This CIP project is the $45 million project to support construction of roads primarily on the White Oak site. As was noted, it's been moving slowly, but last year there was a development agreement with a new developer, MCB Development, and their representatives are here, and it represented a sense of momentum for the project. And so last year, the CIP that the council approved reflected an accelerated schedule for the construction of the roads, with the bulk of the work to be complete in FY29 and the project to close out by FY30. And in this amended CIP, the county executive is recommending that the bulk of the work will now take place in FY26 and to be closed out by FY28. And you can see that on page 2, the comparison, and then the funding schedule is provided on page 3 of the staff packet, and the $30 million that's programmed for FY26 is funded through GO bonds. On page 4, the development team provided some updates to council staff about progress on the amended site plan that they have within planning and some of the other coordination that they've had to do regulatorily to get the project moving. But there's a question about what evidence and factors the county executive may have considered in advancing the timeline to suggest that the bulk of the work needs to be completed next fiscal year. So.
Thank you so much. The county executive team, who would like to kick us off? Mr. Ken.
Good morning, Chair Fanny Gonzalez and members of the ECON committee. I appreciate being here to talk about the CIP project that associated with the Viva White Oak development. I have Greg Assant from General Services and Tom Lewis here, who can help answer questions. And of course, the MCB team and Ashley Bagwell are in the audience and can come forward should you need them. The county executive has been very enthusiastic about this project, and especially with the new management team under MCB, that has breathed new life into this once-in-a-generation opportunity for the county. This is a massive development with over 3,000 housing units associated with it, and will be a game changer for the county and especially for East County, which that community is enthusiastic about the opportunities this development provides. As with regard to the CIP changes, the funding was accelerated from FY27 to accommodate CIP affordability. So the funding was shifted forward. 27 was a very tight, or shaped up to be a very tight year to fit the financing in. So other than capacity reasons, that's why we did it. Of course, your feedback is welcome on the timing, but other than affordability, and Greg, if you have anything to add, that's why we went there.
Good morning, Greg Austin, Department of General Services. Just to add $1 million for the road participation agreement that was memorialized as part of that original development agreement has been fully appropriated since that time. So it's been, the $40 million has been fully appropriated, I want to say 6, 7, maybe even 8 years at this point. A number of years ago, the expenditure schedule as originally proposed and approved by council was in, I think, 10 million tranches in 4 consecutive fiscal years, not not necessarily to sync up with any sort of development plan. We didn't have a development schedule or a plan at that point, but more ceremonial in representing the county's commitment and the full appropriation. Again, just a little bit of context, at one point, shortly after the appropriation, I think the following fiscal year, maybe the 2 fiscal years later, the executive branch made some modifications to the expenditure schedule so that it wasn't even that 10-10-10. Created a lot of excitement and discussion. We made sure through those discussions that both council and the developer, GLDC, were reassured that we still had the full $40 million fully appropriated, and pursuant to the road participation agreement and the development agreement, that money would be available when they incurred expenses for the master plan roadways as originally intended. So all that to say this, which is the $40 million in the expenditure schedule and in the 6-year CIP has been malleable over the years, and we've played with it depending on the capacity for any given fiscal years. And as Ken noted, the 27 is a very tight fiscal year, and so we've simply forwarded the $30 million into FY26. Not so much to sync with the developer's schedule, because you've seen their schedule. It's more so to address the capacity issues in any given fiscal year with the developer's schedule in mind. So we are encouraged and things are moving, and we have some clarity as to when things will occur and their progress, which is more than we've had in the past. So we do want to keep that in mind. But again, the $40 million is fully appropriated. We've had discussions with MCB. They're aware of that. And pursuant to the road participation agreement, the money will be there when they need it and when we obligate it.
That's great news. I think everybody in this county really wants to see this project finally move forward. I want to welcome the district council member, Councilmember Mink. He's here with us, and I'm sure she has questions at some point. Mr. Lewis, do you have any follow-ups?
No, I think it's been covered by Ken and Greg, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are related to things that I've been working on related to the project.
Where again, would you like to, I don't want to, do you have anything else to, okay, good. Do you want us to kick us off? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Fanny Gonzalez, and thank you to the committee for their work on this. I just want to say that I'm really, really excited about this project. Obviously, glad to see it move forward. Appreciate the adjustments that have been made in the name of affordability and making sure that we're able to fulfill our end of the obligations to make sure that this very, very important project moves forward. And I just want to thank this committee and the full council, because this enormous project in East County has very much been a full council, full county, executive branch, community, council project all together, and it's really a wonderful thing. I'm so glad to be a part of it at this moment, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sales.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for the update. I, too, am just as excited about this project moving forward, given the location and the needs that will be addressed in this area. And so I wanted to ask a question. It may be too early, but do we have an expected groundbreaking date?
If you don't mind, Council Member,
I
can
welcome.
we call the MCB
Please.
team up forward?
Yes, please join us.
They can come forward. Yes.
Do we have enough space? Does she need to?
How many of you are going to speak? Only one, right?
Whoever needs, just as many need to.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you please introduce yourself?
Good morning.
Oh, you're.
Can you please turn on your mic? Thank you.
Sorry, it's been a bit since I've been down here. Good morning, Chair Fanny Gonzalez. My name is Teresa Stegman. I'm a development director with MCB Real Estate.
Good morning. I'm Carlos Bonner, Senior Managing Director with MCB Real Estate. So to answer your question, our projected breaking ground date is late November, early December of this year. So right now we are tracking per the permit process to be able to have final permit approvals. I believe the date, don't hold me to it, is around November 20th, which will give us enough time within a week or two to mobilize to the site to start the first phase of construction at Viva White Oak.
Thank you for that. And this may be a question for Mr. Hartman or the county executive staff. Are there any other projects in the current CIP that may delay this project, or that may need to be scaled back to prioritize this development?
So there are no projects other than the $40 million for the roadway participation. And I should note that the way that the roadway participation agreement works, the developer, MCB, will begin construction, presumably on the roadway construction as part of the first phase. And then the county will use this CIP to reimburse them for a pro rata share of their costs. So we won't be, sending over money and then waiting for the work to occur. The work will be occurring, and we'll have monthly calls and draws as we do with
Well, not just this project, but are any other projects impacted to accelerate this?
No, not by this
Okay.
project, no.
All right. Okay.
Fully appropriated, and we're ready to go.
And then regarding the, I guess, I know we talked about the amount of housing that's available. Did we talk about the amount of jobs that this project will bring to the?
So yes, we've run an in-plan analysis through the University of Baltimore, and we've provided that
My
as part
alma
of
mater.
Yes, and so the current jobs projections are roughly around $27,000 to $30,000. I mean, 30,000 jobs. Sorry, and
Those jobs.
yes,
Go ahead.
and so that's on a temporary during construction phase as well as through permanent build out of the project.
Okay.
So over the life of the project, we are estimating a minimum around 30,000 jobs.
Wow, that's exciting. All right, I yield. Thank you.
I knew it. Councilmember Balcom.
That's okay. Thank you all. It's a very exciting project. I'm assuming the roads are the first thing that you'll do, correct?
That's correct.
And are you sure that the roads will be complete by the end of FY26?
So the roads will not be complete by FY26. I think our schedule shows that we would be complete by the end of 27, beginning of 28.
Okay. And so, Mr. Hartman-Espada, what happens with the funds, like if the funds are in FY26 and it's a reimbursement, how will that work if it spans 27, 28?
Presumably, you'll see a different expenditure schedule in FY27 when the full CIP comes over. I think that's how we're probably going to need to deal with it. We want to make sure that the development team is off and running, gets permits in hands, and begins construction. We'll stay in close contact, obviously, because we need to plan for those reimbursements. But I suspect, given where we are and when they expect to break ground and when those reimbursement requests would start rolling in, we'll be talking or discussing in great detail the FY27 through 32 CIP. So I suspect you'll see a different expenditure schedule in about a year from now. So,
And Councilmember, to add to Greg's answer, once encumbered, the funds stay in the project, and if there's a delay, it just means it rolls over.
And if I could add, we do anticipate spending over half of the allocated amount within the first fiscal year.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the reimbursement, do you wait till the project's finished, or is it like an invoicing?
yeah, it'll work on monthly draws, actually. So
All right.
it'll be virtually real time.
Great. Thank you.
Great questions. Thank you so much this was just a briefing, so thank you so much for your time. We look forward to, you said the end of this year?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. I won't forget. Thank you so much for your time, and
I think I'm sorry, just to confirm, I think you have to maybe vote to recommend approval of the amendment.
okay. All right, it goes to CIP. Okay, so with no objections? Yeah. Thank you. This is an easy
first
one.
one.
No kidding. Well, thank you for your time. Next, we have Life Sciences and Technology Centers. Are you leaving so soon?
I trust you.
Noted. If you can please kick us off.
Sounds good. This is another brief packet. So the Life Sciences and Technology Center CIP is the CIP project that supports enhancements related to the incubators and generally the life sciences entrepreneurial climate. This amended CIP is really reflecting a technical change. Last year, the council approved $1 million in state aid, which is ultimately not going to be realized, and so the amended CIP is merely updating that to reflect the reduction of $1 million in revenues and correspondingly in expenditures as well. So the staff would recommend the committee vote on that matter. But more generally, there's also just a question about what the $3 million was potentially programmed for, particularly because it's programmed for FY25, and there's no money programmed for the out years. So may be interested to know what the plan is to spend that money this fiscal year.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to have the county executives team to kick us off.
Thank you so much, Chair Flanagan-Gonzalez and members of the ECON committee. I want to start off by in a different bucket, because I know we will get later on this spring a fuller discussion about innovation and incubation. And just to put it in context.
And before them, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, we have a session in March 6th, and we're going to have, just to recap, the committee has done a series of meetings and tours. We went to Frederick, we went to Baltimore. We also visited our incubators in Rockville, and learning about how incubators are worked on in different places in the state. So we have a session on March 6th on this that will be preparation for the budget session that you're talking about. So a lot on this, because we do believe and we do want to see Montgomery County move forward with this effort. So.
That's wonderful to hear, and we look forward to that discussion. And just to add context, we recently concluded or have been in panel reviews for the innovation and the founders grants. And I do have to tell you, it highlights the need for support for entrepreneurs in Montgomery County. We received 144 companies have applied for the $7 million innovation and $3 million founders. They come from different sectors. 20% are life sciences, but also agricultural technology, financial technology, and hospital tech, AI, and IT. So this reinforces, I think, our shared desire to move forward with a model that supports the ecosystem of getting entrepreneurs, helping them get the funding and the financing and the support to take products to market, because eventually that leads to square footage being leased and tax revenue. I'll turn it over to Jean to talk more about the CIP, but I do want to place us in context of the broader discussion on incubation and innovation.
And that, and more details on what you just said with all those companies, we're expecting more details on March 6th. How many, you already mentioned how many companies have applied, but how many are actually accepted, and where are they located? And
absolutely, and also the other thing that's important is for those who didn't qualify, why? What are their needs?
Exactly.
And we can come back with that.
Love it. That's exciting. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, Gene Smith, manager of the Montgomery County Business Center. Also, since Mr. Hartman didn't share, Judy Costello couldn't join us today, but she's also instrumental to a lot of the work that we're doing in the innovation centers. So as you recall, for the executive strategy last year, the innovation centers included $4 million in the CIP and $1.8 million in the operating budget, kind of for a more comprehensive strategy in order to elevate and to really supercharge our innovation centers. We appreciate the $4 million that was approved in the CIP, and as Mr. Lee shared, the state Build Our Futures grant, we did not win that second competition, but that's fine. It was a very competitive one. Fortunately, that was done very quickly, and we went back and scrubbed some of the information. So we don't think we needed the $1 million that we lost through that state grant. We can believe we can do the $3 million upgrades that we need to. And the $3 million represents the investments along with the operating side, so that's part of still the equation. I think we're going to have a conversation on March 6th with that strategy. But as you all saw when you went to Rockville and Germantown, a lot of our businesses shared need for more shared equipment, in order, especially for our life science businesses. So about $1.8 million of that $3 million is representative of how we need to invest in the Germantown Innovation Center to have more shared equipment, have smaller benches. About $600,000 represents the investment we need to make into the co-working space you all saw at the Rockville Innovation Center. It's a big old hole, I would call it. It doesn't have a good use because all of the outlets are on the outside of the walls. Or, outside of the room. There's nothing interior. And then about $600,000 is for just the general refresh across all three incubators, both in branding and just kind of getting them a little more modern. However, as Mr. Hartman said, and as we continue to say, the broader strategy is how do we do this, not just the CIP investments, but we need to do the operating investments as well. And so I think in terms of timing, similar to what we just heard for the White Oak, the $3 million is there ready to be used once the full picture comes into focus, and I think we'll have that conversation with you all on March 6th and through the operating budget later on this year. But rather than spending the money in fiscal 25 just to spend it, I think it will occur once we're ready. And with the council, so some of that funding may be moved to fiscal 26. But we had hoped to be further along in fiscal 25, but with the operating side still needing to be kind of worked out, I believe that will probably wait till fiscal 26. So I hopefully answers your question for that one, but happy to answer any others.
Any other questions? I'm very excited for March 6th. I have a lot of questions, but I know I have to wait because this is just a CIP. But I think it's one of those efforts that we need to be very intentional, and I understand the hesitation and when to use the money and being prudent about it. Now, can you go back? The $1 million in the state aid that we did not get, you went back and you asked them why is it that we didn't get it, right? Can you say that here on the record?
Sure. I did ask, and how we could be more competitive.
Yes.
Similar to how maybe we would answer a question like that. The answer was it was a highly competitive grant, and I'm sorry you didn't make it.
Okay, we need more than that. There's always a way to get more than that.
We agree. We worked with the Office of Grants Management on that one. They agreed. We pressed a little bit more. We did not receive additional information. I will say that it was mostly private businesses that received the funding or universities. There weren't a lot of local governments that received it.
Well, that's probably what.
It was one of the Governor Moore's kind of flagship initiatives that he did last year. And so I know that I think it was 20, although don't quote me on that because I haven't looked at it recently. And most of them were private businesses.
Let me ask you, is it possible, and I know we probably need to talk this offline, but is it, now that it's in my head, is it possible to have this type of, when we request or put a solicitation for these grants, is it possible to do it in conjunction with, let's say, the Universities of Shady Grove or Montgomery College? Because having an institution, when we talk about innovation, it's so vital, it's so critical. We didn't do that in this past one with the state, did we? No. It was just Montgomery County.
It was only through Montgomery County.
Yeah.
But we
Can we do a
we
partnership?
did collaborate with Montgomery College because it was primarily for investments up at Germantown. And so they were aware, at least in the conversation. But we agree wholeheartedly. I think always collaborations for economic development initiatives look better on paper.
And do you know when the next opportunity is for?
One has already passed. Because the county government can only apply for one, we chose not to apply again for this one, given the timing needs, and allowed others to go forth from the county government to apply for that. But I'm not aware of what happened with that one.
Okay, we need to have some more then. Okay, well, thank you. Any questions from? Yeah, Councilmember Sales.
Thank you for the update. I saw an article earlier this week about the loss of, I believe is it GSK that's leaving the region?
Yeah.
And we know that there's going to be significant loss in jobs through the federal government as well. And so we are seeing competitiveness at an all-time high. And I believe it was shared during the Economic Development Committee meeting yesterday that while we're number 3 in biotech in the nation, we want to remain number 3, and it's becoming harder and harder to do that. I know that in FY25 we allocated $7.6 million for life sciences and technology. Can you share how much money has been spent so far and how much is left and what that has gone towards?
My right hand is Judy Costello, unless Dean can. I think we have to get back to you on.
That's fine.
The broader picture.
Okay.
I know we have been talking with WorkSource and with MCDC and the board there about how do we respond to to the job losses, we've seen almost 1,000 job losses just from USAID contractors that are located in Montgomery County in the last 2 weeks. I'm sure there are more to file, more that are coming. And you probably saw the news this morning about unemployment filings in D.C. and Virginia are up. I don't know if you're aware when you file for unemployment, you have to file where you work in the jurisdiction of where you work. So if you're a county resident who works in D.C., you've got to file in D.C. So we don't have perfect data yet on who those applicants are and where they live. But we've been talking with the county chamber and with MCDC and with WorkSource about resources we can provide. And about getting intelligence sooner about the companies that are leaving. GSK was not a surprise. We knew for a while that they were making changes, but you're right about the need to position ourselves in the life sciences industry better, and we feel we have good engagement from our partners on doing that. But let me connect with Judy, and we'll get back to you on your specific question, Councilmember Sales.
And I know that we talked about competitiveness, and you briefly mentioned some of the investments that this will cover. Any specifics on how the centers will remain competitive on the cutting edge?
Sure. So and again, we'll be brief because I think we're going to have the broader conversation on March 6th. But I mean, what we can share and what I can share now is our centers have been cutting edge for a long time. I think we have great investments in our facilities. I think what we're seeing and what you all saw when you did the tours is one of the aspects is programming, more wraparound services for our businesses. And so certainly the CIP can't cover that, but that's part of the operating kind of equation. The team that I have now, or we have now, does a great work, but I think additional programming is always going to be needed by our entrepreneurs, and not just technical programming, but we've talked about it in other meetings with the Business Center, more wraparound legal, accounting, and other services that help businesses kind of get through the early years where they don't need to hire like an expensive accountant, maybe if they're shared services, but also definitely for our life science businesses, as you mentioned, there is need for more technical experience in certain fields so they can commercialize their product, and that is part of the executive's overall package.
Awesome. And my last question, how is the AI Innovation Center progressing, and do we know when it will be fully operational?
We will defer to Judy on that one, unfortunately, because she has been the lead of it. I know that it's moving forward. We are talking to some businesses to get them in there, but I think we can add that to the March 6th conversation, unfortunately.
So Judy Costello, she's sick and she's watching us right now. She keeps texting me. Please rest because we need you full functional on March 6th. You have been warned. No, you're good. Well, thank you. This is a CIP item. Thank you so much. And without objection, we accept the recommendation, and I'll see you on March 6th. And we're going to move forward with our last item on the agenda. We're going to talk about ABS. I think it's very exciting what they're doing, seeing the news. Yeah, I have that one. Yeah, you have that question. Yeah, that's popped. We have quite a few questions for you all. We're going to start with council staff. Mr. Mia, please kick us off if you're ready.
Good morning. Whoops, excuse me. Oops.
Some water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yes, good morning. Yes, so we're today here for a briefing on general updates from ABS. The packet has a couple of different topics for the committee to consider. I will also note the CE that sent over a CIP amendment in January for the ABS Retail Refresh Store Project. That amendment will be covered in April alongside their operating budget, given the fact that it's both the same revenue source. So stay tuned for that. But beyond that, happy to walk through the packet and introduce each item, and then we can turn it over to the department for comments. So, okay, the first item is a fiscal update looking at FY24 sales and expenditures, as well as the first 2 quarters of FY25 through December 31st. You'll see on page 2 of the packet, there's 2 tables, one, of course, covering FY24 and another one FY25. There's also Circle 1 attachment, which covers more detailed FY24 data by retail location. I'll just note on the 2 tables on page 2, there's a little bit of it's a little confusing right now. We'll have to go back and update it, but the columns calculate vertically but not horizontally. So the bottom line numbers are correct, but there's a little bit of data cleanup needed, so we'll have to go back with the department and clean that up a little bit. But there are also, starting on page 3, several key takeaways that the ABS is prepared to speak to in terms of the recent trends they're seeing in their sales, especially their recently renovated stores as well as some of the challenges they're facing as well. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions or comments.
No questions. We're gonna move on with your team. If you can please kick us off. Thank you.
Sure. Good morning. Kathy Durbin, Director of Alcohol Beverage Services. I'm so glad to be here this morning and always excited to talk about ABS and where we're going and our new stores, as well as the stores that have been in the community and really strategically placed throughout the community, where they're not all terribly profitable. In the long run, they service the whole community, and that's what we want people to be able to go into businesses in a safe environment and to be able to shop and enjoy. So our new stores, Oak, Barrel, and Vine, the new look. I hope you all have been able to visit at least one of them. Wheaton is opening soon, as well as White Oak, and their store replacements. So very excited about that. Really safe environments. Unfortunately, we just recently had in our Wheaton store, we had a holdup, our first one, where it was where somebody actually had a weapon. And luckily, with the work of the collaboration with police and working with the retail team in Silver Spring and Wheaton, they were able to apprehend the person who was also visiting other businesses and stealing from them as well as and holding up these businesses in the Wheaton area. So he's been apprehended, and so we have a loss prevention team that helps with those kinds of things now, where we didn't have that before. Really excited about being able to monitor those events in our stores and keep the stores safe, not just for our staff, but for the customers as well. So that's a high priority for us. Really excited about, and as you know, the stores are an extension of the warehouse, so they're dispensaries. And so we try to use the stores, and we're taking deeper and deeper dives into each store to reflect that community. So it's not one size fits all, doesn't always look the same, but if we know that a community is sells more product than the other. We want to know who's shopping in those stores. Are they stopping by on their way home? People are back in the office a little bit more. Is it near their office work? And same with the businesses. We are a resource to the businesses. So if you have a business and you have, for instance, a wine on a wine list, and you can't afford to buy the whole case, we want to hold some of that wine in that business for that particular business. And it might be a store that's not right next to their business. It might be a store that's closer to their home. So we're really trying to identify how we can work that better for the customers as well. So they can buy wholesale at the retail stores. So that's a really great opportunity for our local and especially small businesses if they have a surprise, really good night and those kinds of things. So we have a lot of projects going on. Our local project is one of my favorites. It's connecting the local manufacturers with our stores, so the local manufacturers have an opportunity to possibly if they have enough product, to be at 27 stores. And so we've taken that from about $30,000 the first year to $3 million. It's a really great, exciting program. We partner with Visit Montgomery and other local teams, and we have new programs called Taste and Tell in the new stores as well. So those manufacturers can come talk about equity, talk about sustainability, what they do, and how they create those products. So we have a lot going on, and I'll let some of my team talk about it as well. And I guess as we go on, I can answer additional questions. But
yeah, I hold questions at the end. So if you can finish up with a presentation, that'll be great.
Do you want to get into? I don't know if you wanted to go further, or do you want to go into?
I mean, do you want to discuss some of the trends you're seeing in terms of sales?
Sure.
Nationally, and that'll lead into the next discussion about initiatives and things like that. So.
Absolutely. So the trends have changed. I mean, since the pandemic, it seems like it was just yesterday, but it's been a couple of years now, and people are buying differently. They're not trying to. Some of the cabinets are still stocked, believe it or not, from when people went out and purchased a lot of alcohol in the beginning of the pandemic. They were sitting at home, they were drinking, they were not really knowing how to end their day. You see a lot of influences that happened and occurred, and so people are really taking a look, and the trends are either to buy higher end premium, because you're not drinking as much, you're drinking differently. But if people want to take a product to parties or they're visiting people, they might not buy that premium high end, and they don't have the money to spend on that now, so they'll either buy the smaller format. So we see more and more of the smaller format bottles, and not the larger bottles for everyday consumers. And that's nationwide. It's been a pretty interesting influence. Again, when you think about theft, you also want to keep those products safe and make sure that they're not too easily accessible. But also people want to get in a space where they want to try new things. There's so many products out there now that it's not just about brand loyalty like it's always been. People aren't drinking necessarily what their grandfather drank and what their parents drank, but they're looking for new things. And then the lesser ABV, alcohol by volume, so things that aren't high in proof as much any longer. People want to drink responsibly, and or maybe take some time off. So it's not just dry January. People are more intermittent, so they want more choices. So we actually sell products that taste like gin that aren't gin, people are spending $30 a bottle on. It's pretty interesting to see this whole change. But I think the consumers are getting more and more creative. We can get into the RTDs, the ready-to-drinks. They've been very popular. Back when I was bartending in Montgomery County years and years ago, I think Bottles and James was the popular one, and it went away. I think it's around somewhere, but it went away for the most part. And these pre-mixed canned drinks, malt-based or spirit-based, have become more and more popular, especially in summer and when you have friends over and events. So it's something that's not going away. It's the only segment in the industry that's grown in the last few years, actually, especially the spirit-based. Malt-based are hanging in, but the high noons, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but they're kind of the winners because they have done a great job. They're low ABV, they're drinkable, and all age groups kind of enjoy them. It's one of those, if you're going to have a party or an event. And also for and a person that was also a regulator for many years, knowing what you're serving people is always a great thing because you know exactly what you had to drink. So it's not like a free pour, those kinds of things.
On the RTDs, I just want to make sure you don't forget to say now finally you're allowing private retailers to sell them.
Yes.
And my office has been got quite a few requests on them earlier last year. And we contacted your office, and I was very excited to see that this is actually happening. And I've been to several liquor stores in the county who were very thrilled that they were now allowed to sell them. It took a while, but we're finally there. And so I want to thank you for that.
Yes, it's great. It's very exciting. So the businesses were able to sell the malt-based all along. It's the spirit-based that are new. So they're 8% and under. We looked all over the country. We took lots of research and read it and really took heed of what we were selling, and that 8% and under really is the sweet spot. 4.5% are the high noons, and they are the biggest sellers. So we're happy to be able to make those available. It did take a while because we had to make sure we did it right, and so we have about 150 additional businesses that are selling those products now. And I think it's kind of worked out that it was a little bit longer and in the winter months, so now people can really decide what it looks like, and they can take their time because once spring hits, hopefully soon. we'll see more businesses sign up and more products available. And then our stores can concentrate on the 8% and higher as well with the spirit-based. So we're really excited about that program. And our folks that go out into the stores, the engagement managers, said there's been nothing but positive feedback. So hopefully we can keep getting. It's an online little permit just so that we know who's doing it, and it turned around in a couple hours. So it's been a really great experience.
I know. I was getting the calls. So good.
Good.
You may continue. I'm sorry.
Well, I think I'm trying to think. There's so many things that we do. Some of the, I would say some of the other projects that we collaborated on within the stores, besides local, is I will add the local projects and program. Once people start kind of graduating, some businesses like just to stay where they are. They're fine. This is what they want. They want to be small. They might not even have enough product for every store, but some of them want to grow, and sometimes they graduate from our local program and they become like a regular type business. But even the local businesses, years ago we had legislation passed that allowed for self-distribution, so they didn't have to go through us, ABS, and that was what they wanted to do. Well, now they're all back and they want to be with us and they want to go through us, and they trust the system. They trust the way we treat their product. They want us to deliver for them. They don't want to deliver themselves. So it's really become this really kind of cool dynamic within our state, especially Montgomery County, within Montgomery County. So super excited about that. And I think that the other side of this is some of the environmental strategies that are built into our stores, and we can't forget about that safety piece, even though it's not, it's economics as well, because it's keeping businesses safe. Our liquor stores aren't open till 2 in the morning. The strategies built in the other jurisdictions beg for to keep their communities safe, because a lot of things happen late at night in liquor stores, and so they're able to keep it safe. We do our best to update all our cameras, make sure that we're not only keeping our businesses safe for customers and staff, but for people that are going in and out, and to help act as a resource for the local businesses as well. So we're excited about our next 2 stores. And the Westbard store is open and doing very well. It's, I think, the biggest challenge we've had is letting people know that they're government-run stores, because they're like, these are too pretty, and they really enjoy them. So I was able to stay for a taste and tell at Westbard last week. There was a Galentine event with a winemaker. It was really interesting. A couple people didn't show, so I got to sit in a seat and listen to the stories. And it's funny, there were people from the community. They're just so excited, so happy to learn about the wines, about the growing process. So really it is an educational tool as well. So,
and that's the work you do with Visit Montgomery County? Visit
Montgomery County is really the Tastemakers Trail is what we do with our locals in each store. And we actually have wrapped 2 trucks with the Tastemaker Trail as well, so that people can know about it as they're driving around and seeing those trucks as well. And we're part of the showcase. Working closely with Visit Montgomery, and I mean, we're part of the fabric of hospitality in Montgomery County. I grew up in hospitality in Montgomery County, and I really feel like we are a big part of that to support hospitality and help it grow. So using our resources in our stores, when somebody applies for a license in ABS, they go through the whole system. I heard wraparound services. That's what we do as well. So you go through a pre-licensing program to help educate you, teach you about the laws, everything, soup to nuts. We have an alert program, the alcohol law education and regulatory program, free to anybody at any time. And we partner with folks like the bystander training in Baltimore. They've come into our community, and we're going to be doing it again this year. Talk about human trafficking, all the things that businesses can do, and environmental strategies they can do to keep safe. So wraparound services is really what we're about as well. So.
Anyone else before we kick it off for questions?
Especially since we are getting the executive's budget next month, ABS is experiencing downward pressure on the general fund transfer every year, largely because of sales not increasing as hoped, but also labor costs and other personal costs, expenditures are increasing as well. And so just wanted to give a heads up that we expect the general fund transfer to be tight again this year, but we'll know more next month when the budget comes out.
Well, with that said, can you please run us through, looking at the last page, I have circle page 1 here. How are you running stores at a net loss? Like, some of these numbers are really shocking. We need details. What's happening here?
Yeah, hi, I'm Marty Utermal, Admin Division Chief. Those numbers are not shocking. Those are typically what we see. What we had over the last 4 years, we actually went into black with the majority of our stores and with retail altogether because of COVID. There's a big windfall that happened, for those 2 years. People could not go on site and drink, so they had to do it off site, and we're the only ones that they can get the alcohol from. So we had that big thing. So, sales are down, but sales are coming down to where they're supposed to be post-COVID. Working with NABCO, we see that 25% of the country is controlled. What's that?
Tell them what NABCO is.
Oh, NABCO. National
Alcohol Beverage Control Association.
Right. And she's the chair-elect right now. Where you see this is typically how sales go. And we can see with COVID, there's this hump. Now the hump is just coming now to meet where it should be. So we're down, but we're down from an inflated, area, so. So we had those years where, where the stores are like, man, this really looks good. We only have a couple of them that are in the red. But typically, not most of our stores, but we're just going to have stores that are going to be in the red. We're going to be in Wheaton. We're going to be in White Oak. We can't not be in different areas. Now, this was all a construct from the last director. He wanted to see what our, if it was a regular business, this is what, this is what we should be selling the product, just like we're selling to any other licensee. So it was kind of a construct that they came up with that. Kathy believes more in, that not to focus on that, but focus on just the controllables in each store, because we know we're not going to leave different areas. So that's kind of where more of our focus is the service part of this.
I feel that you're saying that it's okay to operate certain stores at a loss, and I have a problem with that.
Well, it's at a loss, but it's at a construct of a loss. Okay. What's not there is, when we transfer the money when we transfer the product to a store, we're marking it up like any other licensee just for that construct. Well, we never did that before, and we want to get back to not doing it again. Because it's making the stores look like, these are big losers. But they're not. If we take that construct, and we can do that, take it all out, you'll see that the vast majority, if not all of them, actually make money. That's how that came about. And this $4 million, $1.5 million of that was the new POS system. And then insurance was really high this year, about $500,000. So, we've always been in the red with some of our stores, since we started this new construct.
I'm gonna say to you, since you're coming back in a month or so in the budget, 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. I'm gonna say the next time you come here, especially all the red that I'm seeing on circle page 1, it's actually page 8. What's the strategy to ensure that they improve? What's the strategy? What's the focus on each of the stores so they can do better? And at least put it on the staff report, because right now we're getting this chart with no details or explanations as you're explaining right now. But I think we need more than that. What are we doing to ensure that they do better and not treat them as is expected? Because that's how it feels right now, that you expect these numbers, and it shouldn't be that way. But Councilmember Vulcan.
Thank you. So looking at the chart on Circle 1, the other expenditures, That's a general overhead for retail? Is that what that is?
Majority of that was the new POS system. We went from this old
Right.
Apple systems to Microsoft 365. That was about $1.5 million of it. And another $500,000 was insurance cost. It was just an extra just burden this year with insurance. So that's the most of that $3 million that you're seeing there.
So without that additional expense, overall retail would be showing a profit.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's part of the issue of looking at that extraordinary expense under the operating cost. So thank you. I think that clarified a lot for me. And we can talk about this when we get to the budget, but I didn't follow your discussion about that this is a different construct that a normal retail store wouldn't use. Can you just, if we have time to, just kind of explain that?
Yeah, when we sell to a licensee, our warehouse sells to the licensee, they're going to mark it up,
Right.
okay, to sell to them. But we've never did that with the stores in the past until the last director came, and he wanted to compare if it was going to be like a regular liquor store type of thing. So we started charging our stores that markup from our warehouse.
For the beer and wine, right?
No, everything.
But if we don't have liquor stores in Montgomery County, so there's the comparison of what a private licensee would be able to sell. That's only beer and wine, right? And then, so I guess, are we currently looking at not having that markup in our ABS retail stores now? Is that the?
Well, I think that's under discussion because that was a change from all the years of running these stores. So I'm not sure why it happened because they are not like privately owned stores. I can assure you that every store needs to be successful. And we need to, we've already started the process of working with each store separately, knowing what products are being sold, like I explained earlier. If we know that there's a big call for tequila in that community, because there's lots of different types of businesses sell margaritas, or whatever reason it is, we want to have that product available so that we can do better in that store. So it's always been, over the years, it's almost been a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, and we're not a one-size-fits-all community. So doing these taste and tells, doing these programs within these hubs, and also being a resource for the businesses is where we're going. And we're just starting to uncover the data that we needed to uncover and from this new system. We've had it almost about a year now, so we're starting to be able to pull some of this information out. And then we're also partnering with TEBS on AI projects. We've got a lot of information. How do we use it? And how do we use it to help the consumer and our businesses? So we are heading in that direction. It's been a kind of undoing a little bit the last couple of years, and of course, trying to catch up with a lot of issues with product availability and all kinds of things happening because of supply chain issues. But we've become the community that people want to do business with in the industry. We take care of those products, we take care of our community, and the more it was a culture shift. So that's where we're heading right now, and every store should be a beacon for that community and for those businesses as well. I don't want to compete with the businesses. I want to partner with the businesses and do what we can. So we are changing the model a bit, but it was changed from years ago, and it was a few years of chaos. As far as I'm concerned, it didn't make any sense. So I want to go back to our model, what's written in our state law. We're dispensaries. We are part of the warehouse. Our stores are. So how can we make that better for the community? And that's where we're heading right now. So it does look kind of crazy trying to figure out where we're going to lie. But every community is going to be successful. Every business that we have is going to be successful. I mean, they already successful to the point with relationships. We've really built a lot in that community, so we want to keep doing that. But how do we get the right products in, maybe those smaller formats, going back, changing. The trends are changing so rapidly with alcohol every day, which never was that way. So we're at the top of our game with that. We just have to keep doing it, helping with these RTDs, those kinds of things. So we just have to be more flexible and not so governmental. I hate to say that, but in a way, and I think that's where we're heading, in the right direction. But we'll continue the conversation and show you better what we're doing and how we're moving forward.
Thank you.
Let's be more flexible as a government. Kind of like dealing with alcohol, but I'm not going to get there. So it sounds like since you're coming back for the budget in 2 months, we're going to have another work session in the summertime. Maybe we can have TEPS here and talk about everything that you just mentioned, this new transformation that you're trying to have within your department. Perhaps around June, would that work for you? Having more details on what are you doing in each of these stores, how you are with all that data. Yeah, I want to make sure it gives you enough time to accomplish this. So offline, let's coordinate. If it's not summer, it has to be fall at the latest. Councilmember Sells.
Right. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you, Ms. Durbin. I so appreciate the updates and all the great work you're doing to ensure essential funding for public services and how you're enhancing how ABS serves our community. I also want to commend ABS for their Love Labor campaign, which raised a record $66,973 in approximately 5 weeks, further demonstrating the commitment to community and partnerships across the community to help issues near and dear to my heart as the council's lead on eliminating disparities. So thank you for that innovative partnership. I did have a question about the renovations to some of our stores. I've been at a lot of the ribbon cuttings from, I believe, North Bethesda and Gaithersburg. I think Gaithersburg is still the highest performing store in the county. And just wanted to find out what the average cost of renovating these stores are and how we are evaluating a return on that investment.
Over the course of the last 4 years, it's gone up 40%. So it's like $1.4 million to do the kind of changes you've seen.
Yes.
We have cut that in half.
Oh.
We don't want these big tasting rooms. We don't have to have a cooler. There's just some of these things that that were built in for we just don't have. So between us cutting it down to about $500,000, whatever we can get from the landlord, we're going to be really cutting back what we're actually spending. But we want we want the new lighting, we want the new shelving. You want to rebrand it, but you don't have to. If we don't change the the footprint of a store, then we think we can do it. Now this will be the next two up. We'll see that. So we still want it to look to look the new, but we don't want all the bells and whistles.
Okay, thank you. I believe on page 3, given that labor costs have increased by approximately $5 million due to wage increases, what cost-saving measures is ABS implementing across the division to ensure we maintain profitability?
There's one spot that we can do that, and that's at the retail. It's an inflationary piece. Is what has happened. That's hard to make up in 1 year. That $5 million. It is. It's hard to make up, but we can over the course of the next few years use our pricing to get us where we need to be.
Okay. How much are you spending on marketing at all?
Minimum.
Virtually zero. Well, we don't market the products because the industry folks, they represent their products. We market our stores, so we do everything now online. Basically, we have thousands of people on our shared product list and our flyers that go out for the retail stores. We're on every social media platform there is. We have a new podcast we started about 6 months ago. Received a couple innovation awards for it. So it's been very exciting. So we're trying to do what we can with as little money as possible. So innovation, innovation, innovation.
It would be good to, further advertise the stores. I mean, I don't want to use this moment of time that we're in, but earlier we heard about the, changing job market, and a lot of people will be home and looking for jobs. So
every partnership and every collaboration, which we do a lot of, has our name with what they do as well. So we're really using our partnerships as much as possible to get our name out there, and especially the new brand as well. So, but you're right, there's, this is it's going to be tough for people with this market now.
Yeah. And with 150 businesses already approved for the RTD sales, how is ABS planning to support small and minority-owned businesses to access these licenses? Are you working with Gene or?
Well, these businesses already have a license. So this is just a small permit added onto their license.
Yeah, so are we reaching out to them?
Yeah,
okay.
Through our engagement partnerships, but I think the 150 quick, there could be 400 businesses that sign up. That will happen when the weather starts changing. We'll see more and more people. We kept it at minimal $200 a year. It doesn't start till 2026. Just so we know for that renewals, just so we really just so somebody has skin in the game, because it could change their whole business and how they look. So we want to make sure that we're ahead of the game, and also working with them very closely to make sure that it's still in a responsible manner, and anything we can do to help to be a resource. So, that's and through the iStore, which is almost like an Amazon for the businesses, that's how they put their orders in for the most part. All that information's on there as well as through the licensing office.
All right. And my last question is about how's ABS balancing profitability with public health implications? The CDC recently released the cancer-related diseases that stem from alcohol consumption, and just wanted to see if there's any thought about.
I mean, it's a big conversation to have. We are part of the prevention community as well. So I grew up in public health as well as working in restaurants. I have a social work degree, and so I know.
So many chapters.
Yeah. So I'm a very confused person. So how do we do it responsibly anyways? So those conversations need to have. I think you and I have also spoke about fetal alcohol syndrome, all these projects that I work on anyways, and we're able to bring it to our communities to educate people to make better choices. So educating up front is the way to do it. We're working very closely with industry and with researchers to see where this is going to lie, because there's more questions right now than answers. But right now it's about education and helping the consumers make the right choices.
Yes, and I mean, you mentioned the trend. We're seeing a generation that's drinking less and less than our grandparents and parents' generation, and so just thinking about this evolution and how we can compensate for this potential significant revenue loss is
absolutely. Well, the good news is there's Etsy and other types of really cool things that people pay a lot of money for. So when they do drink and they want premium, we want to have those items on the shelf that they can make those drinks with. So there's other things we can do to help complement what people are already doing, making it better, and having people still be responsible and make those decisions. There's so many products to choose from that are low alcohol content at this point.
Yes, I saw a lot at the grocery store, non-alcoholic beverages that mirrored some of our alcoholic beverages.
Amazing.
So we should. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing to that. When it first came aboard, the different organizations, they always point out that Montgomery County is the lowest per capita of intake of alcohol in the state of Maryland. And I look at them sometimes and go, you say that like it's a bad thing. So.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for your time and for the great update. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of months on the budget, and then in the summer, maybe fall, for another deep dive on alcohol run by the government in Montgomery County, to say it. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Done early.